Do you find that no matter how many times you seem to put yourself out there and face your social fears, your social anxiety seems to persist? This is something that puzzled me for a very long time, and now hopefully I can save you months of frustration by helping you realise where I went wrong. In this video, I'll explain why, despite your best efforts, you may be unknowingly sabotaging yourself and clinging to some unhelpful behaviours that are actually maintaining or even increasing your levels of social anxiety. Hey, I'm Neil and I struggled with social anxiety for more than 2 decades. On this channel, every week I'll be bringing you the best methods and strategies that I've used in my own life to feel more confident. In the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, so this is the main guide that's used for defining mental health disorders, it states that for social anxiety, that feared social situations are avoided or endured with intense anxiety and distress, and that the symptoms must persist for at least 6 months. We may find that we've actually been going into feared social situations and exposing ourselves to things that we find scary for quite some time, but we don't actually seem to be getting any better. But on the other hand, if we did go in lots of social situations that we were afraid of and we just got better quite quickly, then we probably didn't actually have social anxiety in the first place. So there must be something else that's contributing to keeping it going, and it's not just a case of simply doing some kind of exposure and expecting to get better. Why then, despite continuing to put ourselves out there in social situations, do we not seem to actually get much better over time? Well, one of the main reasons for this is due to safety behaviours. These are basically a subtle form of avoidance, and we tend to use them to reduce the risk of negative evaluation while actually allowing ourselves to stay within the social situation. Studies actually show that people with social anxiety do generally come across more positively than we actually think that we do, and we should logically adjust our behaviours based on the positive reactions that we get from other people if we're paying attention to them. These safety behaviours can be divided into 2 main categories of avoidance and impression management, and both of them have been shown to either maintain or increase social anxiety. The avoidance safety behaviours are actually the ones that are more likely to get a negative reaction from the person that we're talking to, and they actually are more likely to increase our anxiety while we're in the social situation. So it means that we're avoiding certain aspects of social situations. So things like reducing our level of eye contact or staying on the edges of a group, perhaps not talking as much and having a lower level of disclosure when we do speak. So we're perhaps trying to stick to surface level conversation topics without ever really going any deeper. These types of behaviour are all to do with hiding some sort of aspect about ourselves because we think will come across negatively. Now, impression management strategies actually stop us from correcting our negative predictions about future social interactions. These types of behaviours are all to do with monitoring ourselves on a moment-by-moment basis when we're in a social situation and trying to constantly adjust ourselves so that we think we're putting across a more positive performance. So this might be things like mentally rehearsing what we're about to say next, just picturing how we're coming across in general, and just trying to act normal. Some of the impacts of using these safety behaviours are things like we don't come across as well, so using subtle avoidance behaviours can lead our conversational partner to think that we're not actually as interested in the interaction and that we may not actually like them, so therefore they'll end up judging our performance as being poorer overall. Studies have shown that avoidance safety behaviours are the ones that are more likely to lead to people having negative reactions towards us and not actually wanting to have future conversations. Although impression management strategies, on the other hand, don't actually seem to have such a negative effect. Both types of safety behaviour can actually lead us to feel more anxious, and they can enhance our bodily and cognitive symptoms. So for example, you may fear that you're going to sweat in a conversation, so you might wear more clothes to try and cover this up, but then it can actually backfire because it can lead you to sweat even more as a result. Ultimately, these types of behaviours both backfire because although we try to reduce our anxiety in the short term by doing something about it, long term we actually end up creating even more social anxiety for ourselves and even more of these symptoms as well. By using safety behaviours, we actually don't end up realising that many of our false beliefs about social interactions are not actually true, and after we've had a social interaction, we might think that the reason that the interaction went well is because we used some sort of safety behavior to cover it up. So we think that catastrophes didn't occur and we attribute these to the safety behaviors. So we keep on doing them in future because we think that's what's protecting us. When in reality, if we just drop the safety behavior, we'd actually realize that nothing bad happened at all, and our anxiety levels with time would actually begin to go down. As a result of all this, we never end up realizing that we're actually perfectly acceptable to other people and we come across as quite normal, but it's just the safety behaviors that stop us from ever really letting go and allowing ourselves to be free from all this. Paradoxically, actually using some of these safety behaviors can make many of our feared outcomes actually more likely to occur. So things like blushing, for instance, if we're really afraid that we may blush in a social situation, then simply by trying to resist blushing, trying to make ourselves not blush, can actually mean it's a lot more likely that we will blush as a result of that. If we worry a lot that we're shaking and that other people can notice that, we may try and hold on to something tightly with our hands so that people may not notice this, but then as a result, this just increases our level of self-focus, and the tighter we try and hold something, then the more likely it is that we're actually going to shake after all. And this sort of behavior, it just increases our level of self-focus and makes us fear the outcome even more and makes it more likely to happen. Another example could be while we're out eating in public. If we don't feel comfortable doing this, then we may put our hand up to sort of cover our face, and then as a result of this, it may actually draw more attention to us because putting our hand up to cover our face is something that's more unusual, whereas if we just didn't do anything, nobody would notice us at all. And a lot of these behaviors that we do can backfire and actually end up drawing even more attention to us as a result. Long term, in order to truly get better and to overcome these obstacles, we need to experiment with gradually reducing and dropping these safety behaviors. We don't have to do it all in one go, but just little by little work on the ones that you realize that you're doing, and with time you should start to find that you don't actually need to use these anymore, and your levels of social anxiety, as you put yourself out there more and more, will actually begin to get less and less. If you'd like to take big steps towards overcoming social anxiety, I run weekly online group sessions where you can practice being confident in a safe environment and gradually ease your way out of your comfort zone. I'll put the link down in the description. If you want to watch more, then click here to check out my latest video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this content valuable, then please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.